Hello everybody, welcome back to our virtual classroom and another lesson in our trades training video series. I'm Joe Carswell, and this session is going to introduce to you a lot of equipment that we call PPE. This is our personal protective equipment. A disclaimer for this video is that this does not take the place of your OSHA 10 safety training. It is an introduction into equipment that will keep you safe. So let's get right into it. We're going to follow along with a presentation from TSU. To start with, let's go over the types of PPE that's available. And let me say that PPE is equipment that is available to keep you safe on a job site. Each type is going to keep you safe and protect you in certain situations and protect you from certain hazards. So we're going to go over PPE that is protective for respiratory or breathing hazards. We're going to have eye and face protection. We'll also go over some skin protection and also hearing protection. To start this conversation about PPE, let's start with the clothing that you would wear that would be appropriate for the job site. I'm going to start with footwear. There's a whole gamut of boots and shoes to wear. Some of the basic rules are no open-toed shoes. Sandals or flip-flops have no business on the work site. I'm going to show you my boots. These are sort of a high-end version of protection. This is some of the best protection you can get, in my opinion. And that is a boot that has a high ankle on it. These are lace-ups, so these are going to offer a lot of support and stability for your ankle. A lot of sites are very uneven, and ankle support for me is an important thing. These also have reinforcement on the sides back here in the heel, and they also have a composite reinforcement in the toes, which is a crush protection. So if I have a heavy object hit my toe, it's not going to injure them. These also have a steel shank reinforcement in the soles of these, which means that if a nail was to try to penetrate it, it couldn't get through the sole. I am pretty much ready for any hazards on the job site with this set of boots. Along with this amount of protection comes a lot of weight in this boot and a lot of heat during the summer. So consider your job and your environment when you choose your level of protection. Next up is the clothing that you wear. And I'm not going to give you too many specifics on clothing. There's some logic to follow here. This gentleman in the presentation, as you can see, he's got the right idea here. He's got a set of overalls or bibs on. This is of a heavy, durable material, and he's wearing a shirt with sleeves on it. Sleeveless shirts have no business on the job site. Next up is this idea of not what you wear, but what you don't wear. So if you have jewelry, you should take it off once you get to the job site. Anything loose around your neck can get hung up in moving machinery and pull you in to then injure you. Anything like earrings or rings on your finger that get hung up on something can literally shear your finger off. So all of these hazards should be eliminated. Even hoodie strings, these can get hung up in saws. So make sure that you don't have anything loose, baggy, or dangerous that can get hung up in your job site material or tools. See these guys? They have put no consideration into skin protection on the job site. Sure, they might be a little cooler, but there's no place on the job for this. Next, we're going to talk about eye protection. I really preach about eye protection. Your eyes are the most fragile organ in your body, the easiest to be injured. They are also the easiest to heal, but if you've ever had an injury to your eye, it's really, really painful. A scratched cornea even is really painful. Safety gear for your eyes is a must at all times when you're on the job site. So this gear comes in different levels of protection. Here in the presentation, you see from the top left, that's a set of standard safety glasses. You have goggles below them, which is going to enclose your eyes more. And then you have a full face shield if the protection needs to be that drastic. A set of safety glasses is going to be shatterproof, which means that they will not shatter and end up in your eye if they're impacted. They've been ballistics tested, and if they say Z87 on them, that tells you that they are certified ballistics tested. They're not scratch proof though, so don't lay them down on the lenses. Next up, we need to protect your head. The best head protection that you can have on the job site is a hard hat. We've all seen these, and they come in different shapes and sizes and colors. This is mine. This is a fiberglass version. What you see in the presentation is a plastic version. These are both class 1, which means they can take an impact from above, which is what we're mainly concerned of. A hard hat is going to protect you from falling or flying objects. A head injury is very serious, so I take hard hats very serious. They should be on your head while you're on the job site at all times. It's not unlike a football helmet. There's a cage inside. Your head is suspended. There's an air gap, and then the shell on the outside is what is going to take the impact when it's hit. If you take an impact on a hard hat, it is considered used up. It has to be replaced. So we start off with skin protection. Now we're on hand protection. Your hands do a lot of the work, and they're going to be used all day. It's a good idea to wear gloves. I didn't, as a younger person, wear gloves, and I really believe in it now. My hands look like an 80-year-old's hands because of this, so I always advocate to protect your hands at all times. You have a lot of choice with gloves, which type you wear, and it really depends on what you're doing. Are you using power tools? How precise do you need to make movements? What tools are you using? How cold is it outside? Are you working with chemicals? All of this is going to change the type of glove that you will be using. So gloves will also help protect your hands against splinters, punctures, abrasions if you're working with very rough materials, masonry, that kind of thing, around concrete. I've got some different styles of gloves here that I want to show you. So I'll go from heavy duty. These are an armored pair of gloves. These have a silicone on the knuckles and the outside of the hands. I would consider this a demo pair of gloves. If you're doing demo, you've got a lot of materials moving around, and these will take a beating and protect your hands. On the inside, they're reinforced with an extra layer of leather. So these are a good set of gloves to do some heavy duty work, but if you need to do fine work, these will not give you the dexterity that you need. We'll move to these. These are I call these mechanics gloves. These are very thin. They fit on your hands well. They don't offer a lot of protection in the cold, but they do allow you to do a lot of work. You'll see a lot of automotive guys using these so they can use their tools and do fine work with them. So that's another option. If you're working with chemicals or solvents or anything that is a type of a substance that could soak into your hands, you might not know this, but your hands absorb any chemicals that you come in contact with. They then enter your bloodstream, and now they're affecting your entire body and your health. So a pair of gloves, these are nitrile, blue nitrile gloves, very thin, very easy to work in. These are chemical and germ resistant. We're talking a lot about germs these days with the COVID crisis. So this is a good glove to have around when you need it. Here is our chemical resistant gloves. I showed you the blue nitrile. There is a lot of different types of chemical resistant gloves. You need to do the research on the chemicals you're using. Look into the SDS on these particular gloves. Find out what the information and the hazards are of those chemicals, and pick the right glove that is going to resist that particular hazard that you're dealing with. You see some latex gloves in here. There are also some nitrile. There's probably some vinyl in there, and some special nitrile gloves that are going to give you different thicknesses. So there's a lot of choices, and you'll find that whatever job you're doing, if you're doing it day after day, you'll find the right glove that will work in that certain situation. Moving on to breathing protection. The gear that we're going to use to protect our lungs is going to be called a respirator. They're all called respirators. And your lungs are very fragile. They are an organ that does not heal well. And we have to be very cognizant. We have to be very aware of what we take into our body through our lungs. We have to breathe all day. We're working hard. We're breathing hard. And we need a filter between us and whatever that breathing hazard is on that job site. It could be anything from sawdust to sawdust and glue, to solvents and chemicals, to concrete dust, to silica dust that is in concrete and a lot of other items that we build with. It could be formaldehyde. Any of these chemicals can be a hazard to us, and these are what we use to protect ourselves. People find these to be very difficult and uncomfortable to wear, but honestly, the discomfort from failing lungs would be much worse. So here we have an N95 mask. This is a mask that is, they call it an N95. It's going to be 95% effective at filtering out dust particles and airborne particles like dust. This is a respirator. It's got a rubber fitting that's going to fit tight around your face, and it has 2 cartridges on either side. These are going to have pre-filters on them. That's the white part. That's going to work like your N95 mask. And then they have a certain cartridge in here that's going to have charcoal or something in it that's going to filter those solvent vapors. Those are the things that are going to be very dangerous in an enclosed space, that say if you're a painter and you're using some volatile chemicals. This would be a higher end or more thorough filtering mask. This would be only for dust. Hearing protection is not always discussed when we're talking about safety, but it's a really important one. Your hearing must be preserved, and you can damage your hearing by exposing your ears to 80 decibels for 45 minutes. That could be a shop vac. I've got a pair here that are that you can't lose them, and they're connected to each other. They fit in your ears like this. And like I said, there's different types. You can choose the one that fits you the best and suits the job you're doing. The ear muffs on the presentation are fully enclosed. That might be the type that you like, down to the disposable ones that fit directly in your ears. If you're on a job site, you need to be visible. There's a type of PPE we're going to use. I don't have an example here, but in the presentation you see it. It's a safety vest. This is not bulletproof. It's not magical. All it is a bright color that you're going to wear with some reflective material on it that works well for you to be seen at night. This is worn on the outside of your clothes so that if someone is running heavy machinery, they have a lot of blind spots, they can see you on the job site. If you're not seen, you're in danger of being struck, run over, or injured by someone who didn't notice you. So this in itself is a very important part of your safety gear. So here's a list of terms used in this presentation. And as always, I like to stress this idea of learning the language of building and using it on the job site, especially when we're talking about things like safety. So I hope you've learned something about the gear that you can use to bring yourself to a safe place and avoid hazards on the job site. Thanks for watching. That's a wrap. This video is a production of Trade Skills U, all rights reserved.